I didn't want that to happen again.
Everybody with the cameras, one of these days, I'm gonna pay him back. I'm afraid to race because of the wreck. She don't want me to be afraid to get back in the car.
It's like kind of the Ricky Bobby thing. Gotta get your balls back. You got a cougar in the car?
So hard I'm working. The opportunity, superstar. This guy shows up on a dude, how do you fit your big fucking head in that thing?
There's all kinds of room in this. There's like, this one's all piled full of shit, but there's plenty of room.
That's funny. I just look behind me and just a little bubble car pulling in.
This is the glorified push car that turned into what I drive every day. It gets looks everywhere you go, I promise.
Thank you for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Been racing with you for a long time. I just looked back on Instagram and I was scrolling back through all my posts.
Yeah.
I think we started racing in 2015 together.
Is that our first
That was when we raced the Malibu and the S10 together.
It was before my time.
Yeah, so many years.
So that's about 8 years ago. A lot has changed in 8 years.
Ton.
You are like one of the most heavily requested people to be on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Like you're up there with like everybody says Chief, obviously, or like this. You're up there with like that status.
Why?
You're interesting.
Like, how? I'm just a boring normal person.
Well, I think you're
That's
in.
what I think too.
That's
About myself.
I think it's because like you're in the videos, like you pop up every now and again in our videos, but like people are more interested. Like they don't know you as well as maybe like some of the other racers.
You're a character.
Yeah, you're a side character on our show.
You always pop in whenever it's time to race the Falcon.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
But yeah, it's been.
I'm typically I'm trying to watch the Falcon. That's been my goal, to beat that car for a couple years now.
And you
I've
did.
noticed that.
I finally did.
Every time that Falcon's on the starting line, CJ's up there. Like,
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't watch me now that I'm tuning.
You did end up beating the Falcon this year.
Did.
With his new car.
Yeah, with the new car.
At the first race that it acted straight. Like that's the first time it acted straight. And I will say this, on that pass, like all night, y'all know, that night, like I was having issues with the nitrous shutting off and cutting out. It did not on your pass against you. So that car was out to get you just as much as I was.
Yeah.
Look, I was genuinely happy that you were able to beat me that, like, it was that easy for you, because I was
it was a fair race.
It was a great race.
It wasn't easy. Like I couldn't push on the pedal anymore. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I feel like you've made leaps and bounds with the new car already. And I don't know if that's just because it's so close to the old car. Like you basically tried to mimic. It's just like you didn't even change it. It's Raggedy Ann, like almost like nothing happened. But I feel like this car is almost better than the last car.
It is a ton better.
I feel like, I don't know what converter you put. I don't know. You found mile an hour somewhere. I know that. And I figured that out pretty quick at Midnight Madness. I was like, well, this is normally where I drive around CJ. And I'm like, I ain't driving around CJ. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, he's driving away from me. But yeah, like it was awesome.
What did you find? What was the game changer with this new car, you think?
A lot. Like everything. Whenever we was building it, I wanted to put it as close to the old car as I could because that's really the only thing I know. I've not had other fast cars at this level or anything.
Right.
So everything that I've learned is off that car. We had no suspension numbers to go off of. So we did the torque boxes and everything in this car, which we didn't have before. And we did the chromoly cage. The car's a little bit lighter. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail about the converter.
Yeah.
But I tried. Pretty much my converter guy at the time, I didn't hear from for 10 months of me trying to, 10-ish months, trying to get a hold of him, reaching out to him. Didn't hear anything. And the converter needed some changes. So I sent it to some other place, and they made a change to it. Got it back, and the car was hell on wheels.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you went to Uncaged this year, and you got down to 4 cars. And I think, honestly, if 3 cars, I think you would have won that deal, honestly, if you would have went all,
I really liked my odds.
Yeah.
We were doing good. The car was doing good, and the front part of it was like, it was just tightening up. So I could actually, I try to set my cars up to be able to leave on a surface and then make everybody come get me.
Yep.
And we was just getting to where we could start applying that power down low.
Yeah, I think you had some people shook for sure. I mean, there was 100 cars there at that race, I believe, somewhere around 100. And to be in the last 3, that was a huge statement with that brand new car.
Right.
He also won Arm Drop Revival.
Yeah, that was like right after.
I think
you won both classes.
Yeah, that was the highlight of my racing season.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We ain't done shit after that. Sorry for the language.
No, you're
but
fine.
we ain't done shit after that. But yeah, that's the highlight of. I think that was probably my best. I wanted the trophies.
But you're trying new things. Just because you're on top for a couple weekends doesn't mean you got to slow down. You got to keep trying things to get faster.
Yep.
And everybody catches up.
That's part of the highs and lows. Is you try something that doesn't work, you can't just give up on it. You have to try to make it work to see if it will further your program.
Yeah.
And
you can't get stagnant.
Yeah.
I feel like this season I kind of got stagnant, or this year maybe. I'm so sold on the combination that I had, but it's not making enough power anymore. So it's time to change.
At one time it was on top.
It's
was
hard.
Really good.
Yeah, it's hard to change it when we were having so much success, but
sorry, I got to spit that out.
No, you're good.
Back when the original Raggedy Ann car came out, that was around the time that my S10 first came out on nitrous, and we started racing together. I think you had the Malibu at the time. That's the first time we raced, but you also were building Raggedy Ann at the time. Correct. And I think a year after we raced the Malibu is when me and you started racing those two together.
Yeah, you had stepped the S10 up, and I was building a whole nother car.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know nothing about that Raggedy Ann car when we raced the Malibu. I think somebody had maybe mentioned something that you had a Mustang, but I didn't know it was that serious. Because back then that car was top of the game.
Yeah, whenever and there's a whole lot of story about the Mustang and why the Raggedy Ann Mustang and why I had it for so long and it just sat there. I didn't do anything with it, but that's I was working to build a house for my wife and kids. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really race. I didn't work on the cars. I didn't do anything until that was accomplished. So the Raggedy Ann car, when it come out, wow, it was way ahead of the game. Whenever I built that, I built it to be a front runner.
Yeah.
And I'm an honest person. I don't beat my chest a whole lot. So I didn't know enough about how much nitrous I was spraying. And I feel like a big part of the first outcoming with the car, I was making mistakes and burning it up. So whenever I should be light years ahead of everybody, granted it run good, but when I should be light years ahead of everybody that I'm racing on the street and stuff like that, I was tearing it up. So I wasn't really getting any knowledge and going off the rule of thumb with it. And both of my small block Fords in that car and the new car different MSD boxes, now the fuel tech, everything. I have to pull a ton of timing out.
Yeah.
And that's what I couldn't wrap my head around.
Yeah, small block Fords don't like a lot of timing.
Yeah, so I'm pulling, it was close to 4 degrees per 50 is what I had to pull out. So I couldn't spray it with a whole lot, and I've got no timing in a small block Ford anyway. So I just spray it down to 0 and hope it's enough.
Yeah.
Something that I've noticed, like obviously you guys were racing before I was done playing video games in my mom's office, but me and Billy kind of talked about this not too long ago too, is like you used to be way more secretive, and I feel like you've changed a lot just in the past 6 or 7 years.
That's because everybody's fat. They got more power than I do. I like, what do I have to hide? Then, like, yeah, I would pull it in a trailer. The hood never came off. Hell, one season, nobody knew if I had a Ford, Chevy, or a Mopar engine in it. Like, there was nothing that was ever known. And, like, now I don't even run it with a hood.
That's that time where, like, you know, at the time, the streets and even the no prep tracks, there wasn't really a no prep track scene, honestly.
Nope. Everybody was afraid of it because of insurance, and they didn't think it would go anywhere, I think.
Yeah.
That would be my outlook.
The first thing was like that Pacemakers cast days, and I think that was even prepped. Like it was lightly prepped.
I think it was. I ran that whenever I went there. I was on a radio.
You had a radio, yeah. That was when you did the big wheelie, drug the bumper.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody thought that was insane. Like at the time,
we didn't know nothing about suspension, and it would either wheelie or it wouldn't, and we didn't know what to do to fix it. And so that's the era of when I learned how to ride the wheelies.
That was cool though. Like that, looking back, those were the really cool days.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's so competitive. Like you just can't underestimate anybody. You got to take everybody in the field serious.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the pots and the amount of money we're racing for anymore has just gotten so big.
Right. Yep.
There's been a lot of money come into the sport, and I think that's changed things a lot.
Ton. Huge.
I feel like you guys were like the biggest Ohio rivalry, like of Ohio street racers, nipper racers. Like you guys were like,
we raced each other a lot for sure.
Yeah,
who's up?
I don't know. We'd have to go back and watch all the videos. I
know we would go back and forth there for a while.
Street or track though? Track's different, but street.
I think he's got me on the street.
He might.
Yeah. I can't remember if I've ever beat him on the street.
You have.
The Limpy Cash days when you guessed.
Yeah.
And was that the one out on
Dayton?
Yeah.
I think you might have had him if he hadn't guessed.
It was gonna be close, man. I guessed it. He rolled up beside me at like 3:30, and then I just kind of just right at the end, just nudged it.
You know, Raggedy Ann only had one kid on her.
I know.
But that second one.
But that's the thing about the street, though, dude. Like,
right.
That's where that
second kit may have slowed
thrives.
me down, and like the car was running really good, and that was a large part because of coming up here and you guys helping me out there on the street to get it dialed in the night before that.
Yeah.
That was the same weekend that it was me and you in the finals.
At Uncaged.
Yeah.
I think I skipped out on that street race. No, I actually raced in that one. I kept having issues with my transmission lines leaking. I was going through all kinds of shit. And that was the night Caleb almost hit me first round.
I actually beat you that night in the S10.
He did, yeah. I was, I can name a bunch of excuses, but I'm pretty sure, I got the, like, every time my street race was like a spin the wheel of death. I think that time it was line up in the dirt, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. I wasn't outside the car. So I've been told 5 different things because obviously when we're racing each other, somebody's going to line him up, somebody's going to line me up. Well, I think Tony lined me up, and afterwards, like, Tony like kept apologizing, so I assume maybe he might have had me messed up somehow or something. But also Tony is like,
you just got gapped, bro.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know.
If you make the car go down in dirt, you don't have to worry about being lined up in dirt.
Touche,
That's
CJ.
CJ's philosophy.
It is. Yeah.
CJ-isms.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
testing the driveway, you're gonna go down the street.
Yeah. Sometimes though, like we talked about this with Ryan McCoy, sometimes that street tune won't even go down the track. It's weird. Sometimes it's like some surfaces just react differently in some ways.
But a lot, like with mine, in my case, my street tune will typically wheelie on a track.
Right.
Because I've got the wheel speed for a street, and then when you go to a track, it's a better surface. Regardless, typically it's a better surface, so it dead hooks and wants to wheelie.
Yeah. So do you typically try and tune around the basis of wheel speed, like controllable wheel speed? Because I feel like when I watch your car leave sometimes, I'm like, it looks like it's spinning, but it's fucking going, dude.
Yeah.
And I've never tuned like that. I know, like, I know there's a lot of people that do out there, a lot of people that are really successful, especially like I always see big tire cars, you know, like when Billy had 29s on, it almost needs to have wheel speed or else, you know, it's controlled. So is that kind of how you tune?
So I'm really stupid when it comes to suspension and shocks.
I don't know about that.
So yes, if it's wheeling and I give it more power or try to get more wheel speed, typically I'll make some shock adjustments, but I've never been able to make my cars leave like per se your guys's, where it just comes up nice and slow and keeps going. Mine's either wheeling or knocking the tires off. So I try to focus more on not knocking the tires off, slowing that down enough to be able to keep the front end down.
Yeah.
And that's just, like I said, my lack of knowledge. I come out with a whole lot of guesses, and with this car, it was a lot of, we're not expected to do any good this year. I don't expect to do any good, so let's try it. You know, I had a really good team this year that was on point in most cases. It was like they took such a big load off of me as being able to focus on the computer, as I don't know a whole lot about the fuel tech. I'm trying to learn all that, so it took me a long time to try and go through stuff. And they would take care of the car. It was taken care of. Get it ready for next round, and all I really had to do was look at the computer and try
really
to learn
nice,
it.
man.
Yeah.
That takes a huge load off.
Yeah,
Having a team is a big part of it.
right. And it, like I've always said, that I'm not afraid to go race by myself. And if I can find somebody in the field that on the grounds I feel comfortable with, you know, this, that, and the other, but it makes such a huge difference having somebody that's the same every time line you up and, you know, pull the plugs out and fuel it up. And it's just having those people there that, you know, have your back it's a world of difference.
Yeah, especially having a nitrous car.
Absolutely. Bottles and it's so much work.
Yeah. I remember switching from, like, I had my blue S10, it was on nitrous, and that's not nowhere near a high maintenance deal, but like, so then switching to something way faster that's lower maintenance, I was like, this feels wrong. I was like, I feel like when I got in the Falcon, I was like, oil change every couple weeks, like start it up, make sure the injectors are clean, like silly shit, nut and bolt it, and it's ready to race.
And that's what I've always heard about a turbo car.
Yeah.
So, walk around in flip flops, drinking the sweet tea with an umbrella in it or something.
Yeah,
Turbo racers are definitely lazy compared to nitrous racers, I would say. If you're a nitrous racer, you definitely want to be a nitrous racer. Like,
yeah.
Pretty much half stupid is what you're saying.
No, I'm you're not stupid, but like you want to work harder.
Right. It makes the day go by faster. I mean, stay busy.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you gonna do in the pits?
Nitrous flames are cool. So.
Unless it shoots sparks out. That's always
Valve,
bad.
you know, pieces of piston and valve.
Yeah. Plugs.
Yeah.
I will say this, like cool. I've noticed, it seems like I do a lot better under pressure. So I feel like if I was in a turbo car where you just plug it in, fill it up, and then you go lay around in a trailer or RV or whatever, you know what I mean? Just chill out and socialize with each other and get all laid back. I feel like I would screw up.
You lose your edge a little bit.
Like if I'm late getting up there, had to throw a bottle in it and run, whatever. It keeps my mind awake, and I'm a lot more alert. Yeah.
I think Billy's the same way too. We've always said, like, for some reason, like, I'll just bring up this story for example.
I'm gonna give him a Valium next time we race, so he's just like in the driver's seat,
exactly,
drilling down his helmet.
Yeah. So I'll just bring up this story for example. Like, we're on the way to Mags. It was like one of the first 10K no prep manias there, 10K to win. You know, we had the truck, and we're on the way to Mags, and my dad just bought that white Suburban.
Okay.
And Like, this is its first trip. Like, just bought it. Let's use it to tow the mags. Billy's like, I mean, I guess like we can do that, or we can use one of the nicer trip. No, I want to use this Suburban. It's what I bought it for.
Got to see if it's going to make the trip.
Yeah. So, yeah, hook it up, load it up, on the way, and we're like, I think we passed Zanesville at this point, so we're only about 30 minutes down the road. And this is Allison's first trip with us on a race. We've also got Billy's buddy Zach up front, and like the Suburban's packed down with merch and tools and everything, and Chevy's in there. Like, got the dog in my lap.
This thing's wallowing around.
Yeah, this thing,
Bad.
It's on the stock wheels and tires still, and so it's like floating like a cloud, and like
it wallowed around bad.
Billy's like white knuckle on the steering wheel, right? So we're 30 minutes into this trip, and all of a sudden, like, I'm starting to nod off a little bit with Chevy in my lap, and then all of a sudden it's just like I
lost a tire.
Lost a tire, and everybody just like. So Billy starts drifting the fucking Suburban because it was a rear right tire, and of course you got the trailer on.
Right.
I was in the right lane, right against guardrail.
Yeah, we're on a curve, and he's trying to turn left. Back right tire goes out, so now we're like this, and then like this, and then dude, I
grabbed the trailer brake controller, and the trailer like pulling back
straight
on it, out.
Yeah.
Dude, if we wouldn't have had a trailer, it would have been really bad because the trailer acted like a parachute,
right?
Almost. But yeah, all over the fucking place. It was pretty wicked. And like we finally come to a stop, and Billy's buddy Zach's like finger marks in the dash, and we're all just like, well, that just happened. It was like wicked. And of course, here comes Dad in the big trailer. Driving by, like he's just shaking his head.
Turn around and then come back.
Yeah,
and
so
help
he's
us
pissed.
fix the tire.
The quarter panel on the Suburban's like fucked. Brand new Suburban. Everything's. Yeah. Oh, he was pissed. Really mad.
Wow.
Anyways, we ended up winning that night. So
yeah, like, it was the biggest win he'd ever had
at that
in the
time.
truck.
Yeah. There was just a lot going on that day.
Showed up like 10 minutes before driver's meeting. Yeah.
Keeps you alert.
Yep.
There's a lot of stories
giving
like
out
that.
Secrets. Y'all gonna be out there beating the hell out of each other now just to keep the blood flowing right before a race.
Yeah. There's a ton of stories like that. Like totally unprepared. The street race that you fucking won. You beat CJ. Your truck almost flipped off the trailer.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was backing his truck off the trailer.
Yep.
And literally rolled his truck off the double open trailer.
Yeah, we was all trying to help you get it off so it didn't get hurt.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
We had a couple big dudes named Big Country lifted his truck up. It was awesome. Yeah, stuff like that, dude. Like when shit happens, shit hits the fan, Billy just seems to do well.
At one time, like, I don't even know how to put it, the words to use, but
you just seem more relaxed.
We could be friends, but you would never know what's going on with my stuff. You would keep yours a secret. At one time, that's how racing was. Everybody would know each other, but you never knew what the hell was going on with the other crew or other car or anything like that. Now we talk about it.
Yeah.
You guys know what's going on with my
Everybody's
car.
Sharing their draggies.
I don't really share draggies. I've talked to you guys a little bit, but I've never told anybody else.
I don't like that shit because I remember the first time we went to Kansas City to street race. Beater Bomb was there and Kendall was there, right? Kendall really hadn't like been on the street scene very long. He came from like the 8.5 racing and stuff.
Right.
But Beater Bomb was sharing his draggies to a couple people, and Kendall got a hold of him and found out exactly what he needed to run to beat him. And guess who won that weekend?
You go out and you test until you're there.
Until you're there. You test until you absolutely know for certain that you can beat that car.
Yep.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I might be guilty. Let me know if I'm an asshole. So
you're an asshole.
Probably. So when he won Arm Drop, the dude that beat me, he had to race him, and I gave CJ a hint. I was like, hey, this guy beat me by a car or two, and I went this. Am I an asshole?
No, I don't think you're an asshole if you're helping like a friend or a teammate.
Yeah, I was helping CJ. I'm like, well, CJ's got this new fucking car, right? And I'm like, hey, Meanwhile, CJ's like, I'm already going 4/10 faster than you, Tommy. You're not helping. But, but yeah, I mean,
the dragy thing altogether is just kind of what's killed a lot of the secrecy. I think.
has 100%.
Yeah,
But it's
There's
also
not much you can do about it.
helped it's helped everybody go faster. It's also a heartbreaker because without it, it feels like you're making the pass of your life, and then you look at it and it's like, well, that's slow as shit.
Yeah, for the longest time, it's like when people would street race, there's no like goal. It's just to win. Like there's no set ET goal
because nobody knows what anybody's
going.
The only thing you know is you saw it that Wednesday or Thursday at the track testing, and it went let's say a 9:30. Yeah, that's what you know. You have no idea
the tune-up I had in it. So
yeah, you got no idea what it's doing on the street. It's not doing that 9:30 on the street. If it did it at the track, though, it's going to naturally be slower, I think. Some stuff is faster on the street.
Yeah.
And some stuff runs the same at the track. Like the old car, it was as fast as it was at the track as it was on the street. You give it an okay street, it'd run the same. Like, that's what I've told everybody. That old car was as fast at KD as it was at No Prep Kings when me and you raced. It didn't matter.
I want to ask you a serious question. I know you wrecking the car was unfortunate, and it was a pain in the ass you had to rebuild. But, like, it's almost like, damn, like it made you even better now having to rebuild a car, and like you're so much further than you were. So like, I feel like, I mean, do you feel that way?
So, I never want to go through a wreck like that again.
Yeah.
It can happen. Anytime we're out there, it can happen. Yes.
It was scary.
Had I not wrecked, I would have never made the changes to that car because I couldn't bring myself to change something that worked so good. And that's like, it worked so good because it was years of small changes, trying things. I didn't know what everything was. It was just trying this. Well, that worked. So let's try this.
So much stuff
let's
you
try
can't
this.
even remember.
No, not with my memory. I can't even remember a race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so much change and stuff, and I didn't have anything wrote down. I'm horrible with writing anything down or keeping logs. So the new car was like, I mean, it was like starting over, and I wanted to do torque boxes in the old car, but I was afraid to change what was there, and just a chrome ollie cage. You know, the old car was a mild steel cage. It had a heavy 9-inch in it. So we've lightened this car up.
This new car definitely seems lighter.
It is. It's not a ton light. It's a couple 100 pounds lighter, though.
Yeah.
And the new car is so much more stable than the old car.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to get down some surfaces, I'm finding, than the old car. Because the old car would, like, do wheelies in dirt. You know what I mean? And this one, it's not so much. It's stiffer. It's a lot more stable. Little later on into this car of driving it, when it's each pass I would just get a little bit more comfortable in it, and it got to where like I would be on edge or possibly lose control in the old car, and this one would drive out of it.
Yeah.
And then each time of doing that, I would start driving it harder and harder and harder, and just found that I can control this car a lot better.
What goes through your head when you're at Brown County and you lose your brakes?
I was getting ready to ask that.
Like going through the finish line, like what are you thinking in that moment, going 130, 140 through into the abyss?
I did not know what was down there.
Yeah.
I did not expect a tractor tire, a log, and a big ass fence. It was kind of blank. Like, I couldn't believe that I didn't have it, and I kept hitting the brake pedal. I knew there was no brakes. I kept hitting the brake pedal.
Just in case.
Yeah, in case something. And earlier on, like, knowing now, if it ever happens again, I don't care if I know what's at the end of the track or not. I'm hitting the guardrail. I'm going into the wall. I'm stopping.
Scrub some speed off.
Yeah, I'm stopping it. I'm getting stopped before I go off the end of the track. But, yeah, it was a lot of blank, honestly. Like, I just kept hitting the brake pedal, trying to, what do I do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Don't
have a lot of time.
I pulled the parachute. It did not slow the car down. Like, obviously too small of a parachute. I had only used it one other time, and that was where was we? That was when we first started doing the first backside we did over in Kentucky
Yeah.
for the Ohio Outlaw deal. And I didn't notice anything then either. But it was kind of like an old shit moment once I saw the tire, because it was like I saw the tire, then I hit the tire.
You
And
could
that's-
actually see it.
I saw the tire, then I hit the tire. It was like, it was right there and I hit it.
Yeah.
That's because it's just black out there. And the front end was down, so my lights wasn't really shining out because the lights were adjusted for the front end to be up. And once I did that, it was like, oh shit or oh fuck, like, and I tensed up and just braced myself. When I braced myself, I hit the throttle. So that put it to the floor on spray.
Yeah.
Granted, we was in grass, so it didn't like gain any speed or anything, but it was still full throttle. When I hit, come up, rolled, flipped, and the carburetor went into the ground, like it was still full throttle. And honestly, once I hit, it was just like lights out. You couldn't see anything because it knocked the lights out, and it was just a bunch of crushing, crashing, flipping, and banging. I didn't know. I didn't know if I was
Basically
alive or
crashed
dead.
head on into a big ass tractor tire.
Yeah.
At, at least probably 100, 80, 100.
Oh, I'd say I was 100 plus.
Yeah.
I would think.
Did the thought cross your head in the middle of the madness? You were like did you feel like you were gonna be okay, or like maybe you're gonna get hurt?
I had
or?
no idea until I stopped.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I had anything through me. My head was cut off. Like afterwards, like, and my helmet still has the mud on the side of it, like etched into the scratches. But at some point, my head went outside of the car, outside of the window, and hit the ground.
Oh my gosh.
So
Did
that's
that
why-
car have a nice cage?
no, it was a mild steel 10-point or whatever. That's why this car has a full containment seat and a funny car cage. That's specifically why it's gonna keep me in it.
Yeah, I wanted to. I'm glad Billy asked, because I was gonna ask at some point, but like that's something I've thought about. Like I have yet, thank God, to be in any kind of accident, and it could happen at any time. Let's hope it never happens, obviously.
It's yeah.
But does it affect?
That's almost worst case scenario, I feel like.
Yeah,
Losing your brakes at Brown County.
Yeah.
that's yeah. Has it affected, like, you've raced at Brown County with a new car already, like, now that, like, when you got back in the car for the first time after your accident, like, was it lingering in your mind? Like, are you more careful about driving?
So my very first pass back in the new car, other than I took it down the road to make sure it was actually going to go. Like I took it down the road from my house and then I loaded in a trailer. My very first pass was at Brown County in the lane that I wrecked in.
Right, yeah.
I had not made a pass. I didn't know if the fuel tech was going to work, if the nitrous was going to. I had nothing. I knew nothing. And honest, fuel tech come over to make sure everything was going to work as it should. I went up there, did a burnout, let go of the button. I was nervous as fuck. Like,
Takes
how
some
do you
balls,
not
though,
be?
to come back to the spot you
The
had just
exact same
crashed,
spot.
Right.
same lane,
Yeah.
same everything with a brand new car.
Yeah, and then rub the guardrail.
Yeah, rub the
Yeah, yeah, you did it again.
The car left. It left really good, but it went a little left. And yeah, I ended up rubbing the guardrail with the beadlock bolts.
That's fun. That's crazy, though, man. I mean, that takes some, like,
to even have that traumatic experience and want to go back there, and conquer that fear. I feel like you almost have to conquer that right away.
And that's why I
You got to
did what
get
I
it
did.
out of the way.
That's why I did what I did. The car was not honestly ready to go. It wasn't ready. But we put it out there, got it as ready as we could and put it out there because I wanted to make a pass down through there just for me.
Make a clean one and turn off at the end.
Never made a clean one,
got your butt.
but we went down it several times.
What's the Ricky Bobby quote? Got your balls back or something?
You got to ride with the fear.
Oh.
He rode with the cougar in the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he ran with the cougar in the car. That's what he did. Yeah, that's
I think my cleanest passes at Brown County have been my wheelie passes. And they're not clean, but they're like the straight ones.
Didn't you win
Yeah.
the wheelie
That
contest?
place
Yeah.
looks really good.
Crazy. So it doesn't like it's not. Are you driving more conservatively now though? Like Is it something you still think about every pass?
You can't. If you do, you're never going to get back to it. No, I don't think about it. I think about it a lot because of what can. Like, I know firsthand what can happen.
You definitely take your safety more seriously now.
Yeah. But yeah, whenever I go out, I know that it's possible to wreck. I don't think about it being that bad, like rubbing a wall or something like that's one thing. But I don't sit and dwell on it. 'Cause like I said, you're never going to get back.
Right, because he wrecked in Missouri the one time, and I was like, "Are you?"
A lot of times it's something out of control. Like for you, it was
Right.
the brakes.
Now,
And how many passes has you made in that car and stopped?
hundreds and hundreds. I've got a lot
You
of
never
passes
thought
in that car.
your brakes would fail, your
I
pedal
just-
rod would break in half.
I had just done a burnout. Like, I just done a big burnout and stood on the brakes to stop. Like, both feet stood on the brakes. Everything was good. Backed up, hit the brakes. Everything was good. Go up. I stage. Like, I'm hard on the brakes whenever I stage. Hit the trans brake button. Then I let off. And the car settles down. Never at all thought anything about the brakes not working. Now, here's another one. You got Brown County going off the end of Brown County. Think about KD. Like, I think about this.
yeah.
This crossed
happen to
crossed
KD.
my mind and Jessica's car because I've got to be real hard on the brakes in it. And, like, yes, the hill scrubs some off, but when you're going at the
Not
amount of
much.
hours that we're going, I'm going to ramp off the top of it. Anybody, that is, like, you're going to ramp into the damn trees.
You would have
You're
basically.
gonna
reenacted
be-
ET.
You're going to
Yeah.
be at least 20, 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Probably.
So that has crossed my mind. I was fortunate enough to be able to get some really good brakes on the car. It's got TBMs all the way around it now, and they like the car. It stops now.
Yeah.
Like, it stops. It really stops with the parachute out.
You had
So-
drum brakes before?
Yeah,
Didn't you?
I had
Wow.
drum brakes on the rear.
Jeez, that's crazy.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I scraped and scrubbed money and parts. Like, all the parts were on the car was used. Like, I got what I could get. That
Yeah.
rear end came in the roller whenever I got it. And all I did was change a gear in it. Like, everything was there. So that's what I ran. That's what
Yeah,
I got
sure.
accustomed to running. Like, the Malibu still got drum brakes on the back of it. It's just
You should have seen some of the shit on Billy's S10 before it got redone. I mean,
right.
There's some really sketchy shit on there. Every time I try and drive it, tried to set me on fire. I remember one time I was moving it in the driveway, and he had this stupid trans brake cords and shit, and they're always a
me.
mess.
They're getting caught in the steering
You
column.
get
all
caught in the
time.
column. And the one time I backed it up, the first time I ever driven it, I was backing it out, and I was like trying to
Watch him.
turn it, and the cords got stuck in the column, and it started shorting out and smoking. And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this thing?" I was like, Billy, I'm not driving that fucking thing anymore. And like the steering wheel is like bent and it's like loose, and then I don't know, it's just terrible. So
I
many
just
wire
got
nuts.
used to the way it was.
You're accustomed to it.
Yeah.
You don't even think, or it don't bother you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just seen how many
So-
wire nuts were in that fucking.
I know
thing.
how many turns I can take the steering wheel without getting it caught in the damn steering column.
Yeah,
Or I know which way to wrap it around or grab it with my hand while I'm doing it. you know?
Right.
yeah.
It's just something you get accustomed to over time and you get used to it.
And that's how I ended up. Yeah, that's how I ended up with running with the drum brakes and the way the car was. Like, I was just used to it.
Yeah.
It's worked this long.
Right. At some point, everything fails.
Yeah.
As in the words of Uncle Bucko, lack of maintenance.
Yeah, and the brake pedal push rod. I mean, like, how often does somebody think, maybe I should check that, see if it's got any stress cracks in it? It's kind of a pain in the ass to get to. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not something that you think about. It's just a little rod. It's just pushing on a diaphragm essentially. So
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times can that thing take a CJ leg workout?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, like, the morning after that, I'm talking to all these people, and it's like, yeah, they're known for that. They make a sleeve for it in case it breaks. It keeps it from actually coming apart, and it holds
yeah.
it, makes it butt together, so at least you still got some kind of break. And I never knew anything about that.
Yeah.
So
That's good for people out there to know, I guess. You know?
yeah,
Something to check.
they've got stuff for
Something to check, I guess, you know, every so often.
And by all means, get the sleeve or do something to keep it together in case it does break or snap. Yeah, because it costed me the whole car. It was
Could've
pretty
cost
garbage.
your life.
Yeah.
A lot of trees down there.
What was it at Mag's when the teal car wrecked and rolled? I'm not going to say any names on that, and I had talked about it to a couple people that, like, I beat that car. I was going faster than that car, and that's how that car ended up. I didn't feel confident that my car would keep me alive and some shit like that. And I didn't race for a couple weeks after that. Because of that, like if that was me in that wreck, I don't feel like I would have walked away from that.
That car was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it had a lot more cage than yours did.
Yeah, it was a very well-built car, yeah.
Wasn't that you raced that? That was versus you, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah,
he almost turned right into you.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that messed me up, and I didn't race for a little while after that, and then later on this accident happens, and it's like the car did keep me alive. Like, I didn't think it would. That was like, I guess, a fear after seeing him wreck. It kept me alive. So the car did what it was supposed to do. The cage did what it was supposed to, even though it was mild steel and old, and I wanted a chromoly cage because it's so much lighter and better and stronger, this, that, and the other. But, that cage was not letting loose. It may have bent, but it was not letting loose, and it kept me alive.
Well, we're glad.
Old plastic seat and all.
And the red fucking fire suit.
Yeah.
The one layer red fire suit from 1986.
I ain't going to say it, but my work pants and some
God.
boots.
Yeah. I got to get it. I mean, we're constantly trying to get on Billy, and I'm even bad, but he gets mad. He hops in my car sometimes to move it or something, and he realizes my
belts are way
my
loose.
belts are like
real loose. Yeah.
I mean, we all got to be better, that's for sure. But luckily, like, his new car has a fire suppression system, and we're trying to get better. Santa Claus is talking about getting some Hans devices and stuff. So,
well, they're not like full Hans devices. I think they're I can't remember the brand, but they're less bulky. I think they're next gens.
Okay,
next gen.
They're called. And then we've also been talking to Race Tech about some containment seats here. We may have those next year.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be nice.
Things are getting so fast, man. It's getting so damn dangerous. Like,
have you not to cut you off?
No, you're good.
Have you sat in the Race Tech seats? Have you checked them out and everything?
They're pretty nice.
Yeah, that's what's in mine. Like, it's like I can just melt in there. I can literally fall asleep sitting in there. Yeah, they're comfortable.
They're custom, aren't they? They like form them.
Mine's not like whatever my body type is. You know what I mean? I just ordered a certain number of seat and they sent it to me. But
They seem awesome.
Does your car have a passenger seat?
Yeah. Why you want to go for a ride?
Sometime.
Bottle will hold you in place. You just sit on it.
Yeah. I want to do a wheelie in Raggedy again. Wish I could have done it in the OG car, but
let's backtrack a little bit. What got you started in racing?
Man, hold on, pause. I was just about to ask that. We're on like the same.
When I cut you off, is that what, okay?
I have it written down. I wanted
like, we never really raced as kids. We would go. Like, I was raised in a car family. My dad worked in a dealership, stuff like that.
Ford dealership?
Chevy. I was born and raised GM.
But you got Ford.
Yeah. It's because I'm poor. All my friends had Ford stuff, so I could get their broken or used stuff.
I was going to say, because Ford shit ain't cheap.
No, it's not. At the level we're at, though, it's everything's comparative. Yeah. You can, I don't know about Mopar stuff, but like Ford Chevy.
You don't want to know.
Ford Chevy at the level ahead it's going to be this amount of money, or the aftermarket block is going to be this amount of money. The crank,
unless you got an LS motor.
Yeah, then you just go to the junkyard for $500 and you got a Pro Mod engine. But we would go to down here National Trails. We would go to Spring Nationals and was a night of fire. We would go to the races. We just really didn't have much to race.
Did anybody from your family race at all, or did you kind of start that?
I remember like my uncle had a Nova, and every now and again he would take it. Nothing avid. Just, if we win or whatever, he would go make some passes. And then we did the Monte Carlo. As a family, we put the Monte Carlo together, but it was more of a driver deal. Open rear end, 308 gear, whatever come in it. But it had a 350 with cam, whatnot. Good.
How old are you at this time?
Right. Young.
20s?
No, I'm
teens?
young, yeah.
Okay.
Probably earlier than teens. I don't think I had my license or anything whenever the car was put together. But everybody as a family would go over to Hardin Chevrolet. We would work on it. And then from that, like I'm competitive anyway, racing. I started racing slot cars at a younger age. And then once I got my license, I think that kind of faded out and I went straight into like racing, bracket racing. And then, so like my son's disabled and a lot of his younger life was really demanding. So I couldn't go race.
Yeah.
And I started going out and doing like at night when everybody's asleep, I would go out and do some street racing and stuff like that. But as far as going to a track and spending all day there, like a lot of that faded out.
Yeah.
So that's when the street racing started, was a lot of, because it was honestly the only racing that I could get out and
slip
do.
out at night, you know, when he's asleep.
And we would go like to Columbus or something like that and meet up at White Castles or wherever. And sometimes racing didn't happen, sometimes racing did happen, but typically there was cops involved and you're running, because that's back, you didn't have cash days back then. Like
all grudge.
You try to set something up and then you slip out and they slip out and you guys drive around this way, that way, and then you meet up and get it done. And that's pretty much about all I could do. Like we couldn't go as a family and race. We couldn't do none of that. So that's what I did, and that's kind of led me into, never could afford to class race or heads up race other than like on the street for little money. I never raced for big money. I don't know how many names or whatever you want thrown out, but used to be like a big thing to go out and watch Hong race, because that they would gather up big money races, and he was the dude to beat. The dude was fast, even way back when we was kids.
Yeah.
All the time out.
Now, was he in his Nova back then too?
It was either one of his cars. I remember him having the Monte Carlo out. He would like drive Sean's Nova a lot, which they used to be really tight then.
Yeah, I remember like some of my first videos were Sean Young street racing people.
Yeah.
And that was kind of near where he was starting to slow down anyways, but like I kind of got in near the end of all that.
Right. Yeah,
it seemed like.
Yeah, those are the guys like I used to, whenever I was younger, I would go up and watch them race and stuff like that. So,
what was the biggest grudge race that you had ever seen, like money-wise, in Columbus?
I don't even know, because I wasn't like in the middle of any of it. It was like we would know that they was going out to race, and we would go out like watch and everything, but we wasn't up there with the money or whatever. But I know there's some $10,000-$20,000 races.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot for back then.
Oh, absolutely.
2000s.
Yeah, they would race for some money. And it was actual, like, some of them, like, there would actually be, like, a personal grudge and stuff like it. Wasn't just going out and grudge racing. Like, these motherfuckers hated each other. So, that brought a whole lot of exciting drama, I guess. A lot of the shit talk and all that. But
so, how do you, even now, like, how do you balance out? Because you have a normal day job, which I've never even asked you this. Like, what do you do? What's your normal day job?
So I work at a semi-truck factory, and basically work on the trucks after they're built. And if there's issues, we've got a program process that we have to go through, certain things we have to do to the truck. but also like if there's any other issues with it, we have to figure that out, fix them so that when they leave us, they can either go get touch-up paint done or go to a final sale process where they sell the truck, which is, they're all sold before we build them, but this is like the final process before they go to the dealer or to the customer.
So are they pretty lenient? Like, because some weekends, in order to get to a race, you might have to leave Friday, maybe even leave Thursday. So are you able to? Are they pretty?
At one time when I was on second shift, I had a boss that he actually followed the car and all that stuff, and he would do what he could to get me where I needed to be. Mm-hmm. But anymore, it's like you got to schedule vacation. That's, if not, then no.
How do you balance out, like, because you've got your son, but you've also got your daughter who plays volleyball, like school sports, like you don't want to miss games, like,
right?
How, like, that's got to get tough sometimes. Like, how do you balance it all out?
We are constantly going. And my wife picks up a lot of the load.
Yeah.
With all the kids and the sports and all that stuff. So
I can see that from an outside view.
Yeah.
She does a good job.
Yeah.
I can see she's a hard worker.
She picks up a lot of the load. So that she schedules everything and pretty much just tells me when I need to be somewhere and where to be.
Nice.
If we've got a game for Allie, I will ask her 60 times when it is and what time it is and all that, and she'll answer me. And the more we do it, the more aggressive she gets, and like, I should remember this, but I don't remember it. If I don't remember, I don't remember. But yeah, she takes care of all that and makes it work, is what she does.
So before you met her, was she into racing?
No.
So you kind of had to convert.
We're all together as a family,
yeah.
And she's into racing now, but she's not into racing.
She just wants to support
that aspect.
You.
Yeah. She's there to be together and support. Like with her car, she has no interest in racing it, the black car. My goal is to make it to where she can hit the key, start it up, drive it, go wherever she wants to go to drive it, cruise it around, whatever, and then like be able to accommodate me if I want to go out here on the street and play with the street cars and do some racing and stuff like that.
And you guys also have a YouTube channel that you guys started a year or two ago now.
Yeah.
How's that called?
Raggedy and Ohio Small Tire.
Okay. We just want to put that out there for anybody that's not subscribed. Go check that out.
Yeah, does she do all the editing for that too?
She does do all the editing.
She's jack of all trades. Sounds
yeah,
like.
she does a lot.
But how's the channel going?
It's going okay. We don't like we'll put out one video a week, something like that, and that's a lot of because there's the content. I'm only one person. I do 90% of all my work myself, and you can only get so much content whenever you're doing something yourself because it takes so long to get it done.
Yeah.
It's kind of a raw behind the scenes type deal.
So like if I'm out in the shop, I video something and she'll need the content, so I'll send it to her and then she just makes something out of it. Like there's nothing real in-depth or intense about it. I'll set a camera up, talk to it a little bit, video what I'm doing, and then she does all the whatever.
People are watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys know what goes into that side of it. I really don't because I have never edited anything.
Yeah, it seems like more work to actually put it together at the end than it is to do the work that you're doing.
Well, everything takes twice as long, like you said, like having to set up the camera, talk to it while you're doing it, and then like if you're really trying to focus on something, you might mess it up because you're trying to like, I'm
honestly really proud of you for doing it.
And then remember
I never
to
thought that you would ever do that.
Yeah, I know.
I never thought you'd ever start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Neither did I, but it was like, there was that point, it was like, we're either going to do it or we're not.
You're out of your shell.
Right. What shell? There's no shell left.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
If it can help, like, if it could even help a little bit pay for some of the racing costs, like that's a win in my book.
Right.
That's like when I started my channel, that's all I was really hoping for was just a little extra, just to help like pay for parts and stuff like that. And it's not like the views themselves. It's not like it's coming out of people's pocket. They're not paying. It's Google that's paying you. So like it's free.
So everybody come over everybody come over and help us out.
Yeah. For sure.
We need the views. We need to get faster.
Yeah. I just need to keep my stuff together.
You're building a turbo car, right?
I am. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Slowly, very slowly.
For the front side stuff.
Yeah. And it's really slowly because the nitrous car always needs something.
Yeah.
So.
And it always will.
Right. Yeah, right now I got, 5 holes cracked in the heads, on the heads of it.
Yeah.
So, trying to get that repaired. The turbo car, yes, that was
Slow process.
That was honestly my plan 6 years ago, to jump back ahead of everybody, that all you guys and all that, and it just didn't work out. So,
but honestly, like the small block nitrous steel, it's not obsolete on some of these places that we're racing. Obviously, you've proved that this year.
Right.
So it's not like you've been pushed like severely to do the turbo deal. You're still winning.
Right. I have to pick and choose my race. I can't go to a good front side and run with the big block turbo cars or anything. I mean, a lot of the small block turbo cars.
I can't even anymore.
So, gotta step your game up. You'll be fine.
I'm a puppy kick and step down to street car class is what everybody's saying. So I'm not allowed to do. I'm not allowed to do street car classes because I'm a puppy kicker. So.
Does a car fit the class?
We have to pick and choose what places we go to.
Does a car fit the class?
Yes.
I mean, Cali Nate, his car fit the class.
Yeah. I think True Street is going to be like the new OG small tire, like factory, frame, factory, firewall type stuff. I feel like that's probably going to be where a lot of those cars end up. And just because it's called True Street, it's just a class name, really.
If they called it OG small tire, it'd be better. Because I think
then people would say, "Oh, you're changing small tire."
People just want to cry. People can't just be happy.
So I guess my outlook on that, and I don't have a big outlook, but I can't afford to run with the Pro 275 cars, and like you're stepping your game up severely.
Yeah.
To run with them, I can't afford to.
I had to do it, but
right. I know I can't afford to, so I'm kind of looking at options on where I can go with the car.
You do so well at the backside stuff and the shitty surfaces.
Right. And that's a lot of probably where I'll keep it. But I feel like I'm going to have to be able to, and the more I run the car, the more I learn. But I feel like I'm going to still yet have to get faster. So I've got to figure out how to go faster because everybody else is. So yeah, I probably won't see me at a whole lot of front sides with the car. I don't know that I'll be able to get the turbo car done this year, but if I do, I would like to bring that out and put it on some front sides and just see how it holds up.
Yeah, I'd love to see you in a turbo car. That'd be crazy.
You saw me in Jess's.
Be weird. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're in Jess's car.
I want to say this to Poke, but you got a good view of it.
Yeah, I did.
At least the back cord. No,
Didn't you beat Stranger Things?
Yeah. He beat the Stranger Things car. That was a good time though.
Yeah, that was a fun night. It was just a fun night.
Need more of that.
Yeah, I need to get back to that.
We say it every podcast when we start talking about street racing, that it's just so hard to do it anymore.
It is.
Especially in Ohio. It's just not the place anymore.
And it sucks because it was so fun. Like it was fun racing around here. I went out a couple weeks ago, ran up to Columbus to watch a little bit of racing that was supposed to be going on. And I don't know that they even got any racing done, but it was a whole lot of waiting and talking, and it was freezing cold. And then these idiots come through that they called the slide show, and vehicles that couldn't slide, their front wheel drive or all wheel drive. Like
they're yanking the e-brake.
But they stop down the road and start shooting guns. Like it's freezing cold. There's no racing. These idiots are shooting guns. Like it was time for me to go. So I went back home.
Yeah. So you've seen it firsthand, the scene, and I mean, the local scene isn't what it used to be for sure.
Not at all.
You might see a couple good grudge races, some one and done stuff here and there, but
Ryan McCoy and Craig Metcalf raced the other night.
Yep.
They're keeping
good
it
stuff
alive.
right there.
That was a good race. I'm proud of them guys. I mean, you watch the video, there's like maybe 3 spectators and finish line guy, a cone, a flagger.
And racing for a 20-piece nugget with sweet and sour sauce or something.
Racing for a lot of pride there.
Yeah.
A lot of pride for sure.
I think it's going to go back to that. You're going to have to. And that's the way it used to be.
Got to keep it quiet.
Not without the cameras, stuff
Yeah.
wasn't plastered all over the internet or anything. But yeah, you go out, you got a couple people on each side. One guy's holding the money on each side, or you'll have a couple guys at the finish line holding the money, and whichever one comes across first, it's anything goes. The other guy hands the money.
Get in
Stuff
there,
like
get
that.
it done in 5
Yep.
minutes or less.
Yep, and get out.
And get
Because
out.
9 times out of 10, the cops are already on their way. Hell,
Uh,
there used to be cops that would be, I guess, undercover or staking it out or whatever, and like you would leave. You got a couple people leave to go race, and the cops would already know about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing a lot more street racing now that it's getting colder. And I think that's because, like, everybody knows that a lot of the kids are staying at home when it's cold. They don't want to sit out there in the cold.
yeah, your spectator count's going to be way down. That's also hard on, say, a nitrous car to run in the cold. Like,
Oh, yeah. You're
Is
worried
it?
about burning it up
Yeah.
all the damn time.
I don't know much about nitrous. It's harder in the cold.
Oh, yeah. When it's negative 3,000 DA outside, your tune-up changes pretty dramatically.
Yeah, that's true.
full timing, slap some fuel in it. Something
But a turbo car,
loves it.
loves cold air.
Yeah. It does love cold air. I mean, nitrous cars love it, too. It's making a lot of power, but it's also going to be leaner
Yeah,
by a lot.
leans it
I
out.
see. So it's more of a carburetor problem.
It's not really a
Because-
carburetor. It's a jetting and
Because your
timing
computer
problem.
is going to adjust to get the air fuel that you're targeting. But a carburetor is like, I have this jet in it, I'm going to run this fucking jet, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Add a couple pounds to the fuel on the nitrous.
Make sure my dad isn't in here.
It's yeah, you got to be on top of your game when it gets that cold out with a nitrous car.
All right, so one last thing I wanted to talk about, I didn't get to ask, is where did the Raggedy Ann name come from?
Not me.
Really?
No, I did not name the car. My wife, I think it was my wife and my daughter, or my wife, started calling it Raggedy Ann, and she come up with it, I guess, because like the car was all white with black trim, black molding and everything, and like I got doors and put the raggedy looking doors on it, which was the red ones, and to make it look raggedy. I mean, essentially to
Were
make
they,
it.
were they fiberglass doors? Or
Nope,
something?
they
No?
were steel
Just
doors,
put the red
roll up
doors on it?
windows. Yeah, it had roll up windows in it, and the crash bars were cut out already. And then the ones that were on it were power with the crash bars in it. But the idea was to make it look so people underestimate it. And then, like, my daughter asked, why do I want to make it look ugly? She's just little, you know what I mean? So I explained it to her that, people's going to see it and say, that thing's a piece of shit, we're
Get
going to
more
beat it
races.
easy. And when I brought that car out, it was so quiet. Like, you had to listen.
I remember.
You had to listen to hear that there was anything there. And she just started
was
calling
sneaky.
it Raggedy Ann. Yeah, it was sneaky.
So
That
you
was the
purposely
idea.
made it look junky.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And quiet.
That's funny.
Like, I made it look junky and quiet.
So it was just it was like a sleeper.
Yeah, 100% it was a sleeper. And it done a good job, too.
Yeah.
It was very, very sneaky.
I think the
car.
same thing like Billy's S10. Oh, that's just a fucking junky S10 from Ohio, but he went to New Orleans and he's in semifinals, and it's like, what the
Right.
fuck?
Yep.
What happened? Yeah. He used to get a lot of easy races.
I still have that exhaust.
It sounded good.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was
sounded
real street manner, tame, quiet. And everybody knows it's a 427 cubic inch solid roller, this, that, and the other. Like, it ran really good for the way it sounded.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't even know where I was going now. We got onto that, and I built it to be sneaky, the name. And then, like, she started just calling it Raggedy Ann, and it stuck. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, we ain't calling it Raggedy Ann.
I think it's great.
That's
man.
so
It's
stupid,
great.
or whatever. I didn't say
People
that. but-
around the world know that car.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, but it's world known for sure.
People just be calling you Raggedy Ann. They're like,
Yeah,
they
and
don't
they
even know
do.
who CJ
Yeah.
is. Raggedy Ann.
Well, now they know.
Now I know.
And if you don't know, go to Raggedy Ann YouTube channel.
Yep, a Raggedy Ann Ohio small tire.
Check it out.
Also feel that a car earns its name. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that car to her earned the name, and everybody respected the name, so it stuck. That's why it stuck.
Yeah.
So we'll see what this new car comes up with.
Yeah.
I had some ideas, but I'm told they're stupid.
Alrighty. Well, I guess
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for all the awesome stories and being here.
Yeah.
It's great. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time. It's been my favorite one probably so far. But thank you. You've made racing way more enjoyable at the track. You're great to be around. It's always a good time. You know, even when like we're at Midnight Madness and it starts raining or the fogs come in and we got a foot race in the finals or some stupid shit like that. But you know, we've always had a good time, and you're just a joy to race with and a good sport. So
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. But if anybody has to foot race him, don't underestimate him over this one. That's all I'm trying to look at the
I've
camera.
never beat Billy in a foot race.
You haven't?
First of all, don't underestimate this motherfucker because he's fast as hell. That's a real problem.
Well, either I slowed down or you're faster than him.
Nah, CJ's fast.
Because he jumped on me.
You're a
And
sleeper.
I still come around him.
You're a sleeper.
You left with me. And I couldn't beat you.
Nah, CJ's a sleeper. You're like, look, he's got them short, stubby legs, old, whatever.
Big old belly.
Dude. He's
It's the
just
bald
like his
head
car.
cutting through the air is what it is.
He's just like his car. He's got all the 60 foot. Out the back,
And nothing out back.
little gassed. But, man, yeah, a lot of foot races over the years.
Pissed a lot of people off doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, there's usually a reason. Like, if we can race, we would race.
right.
Like, we want to race our cars. But, you know, usually every time it's happened, there's been a reason. Like, the freaking drunk that I think that that was a different time, but we foot raced twice at Midnight Madness.
Right.
Like, there's always some shit happen at Midnight Madness or
Or
KD.
CJ's melted 3 of his spark plugs off, and he's like, "Hey, if we don't have to, you know."
Right.
Yeah. Well, you was low on fuel.
Yeah.
That was at Milan.
Yeah.
You was low on fuel, and I had burnt spark plugs all night. So
And we were like, "Hey, you know, we don't have to do this."
Damn, I feel like we're missing out a bunch of stories now.
Oh, we've got a ton. Which I think we've gotten into before the very first race that we had, how that all went. But we didn't even talk about that.
How did
Really?
that go?
As far as like my nitrous not working.
Oh
and
yeah.
Basically, like it was cutting out and you beat me, and you know,
We had to race,
come
like,
back
3
around. I
times.
was like, you want to do it again? Yeah. So I just left it down. I think it was at 700 psi it would hit. So that's what it worked on the way back. Wouldn't work on the race. So I just didn't up the pressure, and that's how I was able to beat you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think we raced like 3 times that night when we met, and yeah, I won the first race. Your nitrous didn't work right. I think you won the second, and then we maybe did a third. I think somebody jumped between the 3 races.
yeah, there
I
was
can't remember.
something there.
But yeah, that was a good time.
I remember flagging a race for you and kept fucking it up. I was like, I'm not a flagger. I'll drive the
remember
shit
that.
out of something, but I cannot flag.
I remember that.
Do you remember your guys' race in Waverly when you won? It was in the finals. I guess I'll have to bleep out what I said, but
As far as the place.
the place, yeah. But you remember that? It was the one with Chris was flagging, and you guys had moved like 3 spots. And it was that spot that was next to the field with
yeah,
the big
yep.
things that like the farmers use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was more
remember.
recently.
That was a recent
Yeah,
one.
I remember that one.
That was a great race.
That was a couple
good.
years ago.
Yeah.
So
What was the last race between? No, okay. So the last race between you,
the only
the S10, the old Raggedy M was no Prep Kings, wasn't it?
and he beat me.
Yeah, that was probably the day after. I can't remember.
It was the locals only
What?
thing.
It
Well, the
it either
last
that or
race would have
on
been-
the street with Limpy.
Yeah.
So we got to do a final total. I'll have to go back and watch all the videos and see who's up. Because it is, I don't know that.
I remember rolling up that night, like the night that we first met, and we pulled in, and I think you were already racing. We were like the last ones to get there or whatever. And I remember seeing that Malibu, and it had a bunch of like bracket racer stickers all over it and stuff. I was like, oh, he can't be that fast, you know.
It's a bracket car.
Sneaky.
it's a
Exactly.
bracket car. That's the car I
And
raced all through school.
I raced you, and I won somehow because your nitrous didn't
Right.
work right. And I came back, and everybody's like, no one's ever beat him.
Yeah,
Here.
that is the I'm thinking the only street race the car has ever lost. Not that I race anybody that comes or goes, I would pick, but that is the only street race I believe that I have ever lost with that car
Yeah.
to that point.
Right.
And that's when you
So-
started buying
And-
upgrades.
Yeah, that was
No,
like,
but I didn't. Like, I just got really pissed off because I couldn't believe that just happened. I honestly could not. That's why I was like trying to figure out how I could redeem myself,
Yeah.
redeem the car because, it just
some
doesn't
noob,
happen.
some noob kid comes in.
Right. And
know.
like beats me. That should not happen.
My first street race ever.
Paul Walker looking ass.
Yeah.
The truck ran good back then. I mean, it was like a 10-second truck on nitrous. So it ran decent and it worked good.
And you can't come back with a bunch of excuses why this dude that's never done this before just beat you. You know what I mean? In a street truck, bracket
Yeah.
truck. I mean, that was your bracket truck too.
Yeah.
So I figured out what happened and why, and I was able to come back and beat him. And I think after that was like, how many times did we race with the Malibu and the truck? That was the only night we actually raced those two,
Yeah.
and then it was like the Mustang and the truck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think we raced 3 times that night. I think I won the first. I'd have to go back and find the videos. I know they're out there somewhere.
I remember you was super surprised because the car didn't sound like much, and it run good. So
Yeah.
that was kind of puppy kicking back there for the car, but like I didn't know, I built it to beat people. I didn't know how to set the suspension up. It was fun.
You were hustling.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Mustang, I don't even think it had a wing back then.
Nope.
It didn't look like nothing really. It just looked like a street car.
Looked like it
didn't
was
have
pulled
the
out of a
scoop.
junkyard.
Yeah.
Had a 4-inch, was it a 4-inch bolt-on hood? Or a 3-inch, 2-inch bolt-on hood? Yeah, it just wasn't nothing. That was great times.
Yeah.
You pulled Raggedy Ann out of a junkyard?
No, it looked like it.
I think the
Or
first
where did it actually come from?
It actually, so put some names out there. The car was, and a lot of people in the Ford world will probably know these guys, it's Steve Taylor and Brian Steinmetz, which they still buy and sell and race and all that stuff. But so, if I remember right, I ended up getting the roller off of Steve, and I went over to pick it up with the trailer. And like he was sick of tripping over shit or something because he loaded the whole back of my truck up with parts and stuff. Like I got the roller and a whole truckload of stuff with it.
How long ago was this?
What, 7, 8? Well, no, I had the car for several years before I actually built it because I was doing the house and everything.
I remember Brian was out there the night we raced. He had that white car with the pink wheels.
Yeah. Yep. Man, I'd have to talk to my
It's been a
wife.
while.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting, what was it, the engine that was missing a whole bunch of pieces and parts. It was basically an engine that was started to get designed, and somebody had spent a bunch of money on it. Brian ended up getting it in on a deal that they done. And 7531 and some other stuff. So I ended up buying that stuff off of him, and then taking all the big parts, putting them together, and finishing all the small parts and going through that. So that's how the engine was built. And then, like I said, the car come from Steve. There was so much parts on the original car that was bought off of them that essentially wasn't good enough for either them to put on what they were building as far as parts, or like the car. They were never going to do anything with that car. It wasn't to the scale that they needed to race the stuff that they race. So that is, the second engine came from Steve. Whenever I tore the first one up, very first time out, like its debut, broke the transmission, the transmission came from Brian too, I think, which was a Mighty Might M2. Scattered it the second pass, and then went up into the nitrous, backfired, blew the head gaskets out, and cracked piston. It was just a bad day for it. But yeah, that's how the Raggedy Ann car come about. That's where I got it from. And a real quick backstory on it was built off a lot of parts that just wasn't to scale for what they were doing.
You remember the first time Raggedy Ann and the truck raced? Because I think I do.
I think I do too. That was out at one of Luke's deals. Am I wrong?
I think the first time was we went down to Kentucky to do that cash days that never happened. We got there and the cops came and we had to drive all the way home. And we were driving past Waverly on the way home and the sun was coming up. And I think it was like 30 degrees. I remember there's frost.
See, I remember this. I don't remember a time frame though. I remember this.
There was, yeah, we didn't get to do any. We drove all the way to Kentucky, didn't get to do anything racing, and we're driving back.
We were all parked on
a
a side road,
Yeah.
and then they race out on some main deal, and we didn't get to do it.
It was behind the prison up there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we went all the way back home.
Okay, this is a different one that I'm thinking of. Then
we went all the way back home, and we got to Waverly, and we're like, we haven't raced all night. We just drove halfway across the damn world, and we wanted to get something going. So
let's see what it's like.
Yeah,
let's see what each other's about.
I think it was cold. I remember that. It was frost, and the sun was just coming up, and I think that was the first time me and you raced. You beat me, and I can remember I either broke my drive shaft at the near the end of the race, or something broke on the truck. We had to push it up on the trailer, and I think you lost a radiator hose or something like that, because I remember antifreeze being all over my truck because I was like right behind you. I was like at your bumper.
It's like it was so cold, and then we fired them up, and I don't know if it was the heat or whatever collapsed my radiator hose. I remember that. So I was thinking the first time that we raced was, Luke, who I'm talking about.
Blackjack Road.
He had a gathering there, and we ended up driving down and racing.
Yeah, that may have been the first time. There was one or two times that were like really close to each other that we raced.
Yeah, I thought that was the first, but like I said, my memory's horrible. So
yeah, I remember the line of cars following us was ridiculous.
Yep.
We left Luke's house and drove over there and raced, and I remember it looked like American Graffiti, just a line of cars behind us for miles.
I can't remember. Wasn't it like a get-together where there was supposed to be a whole bunch of racing, and there wasn't really a whole bunch of racing that happened, but we did get to race?
That happened a lot, it seemed like.
Yeah.
We get together, and everybody was supposed to have a shootout or something, and then it just turned out me and you were just racing.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to... And it's probably never going to happen, but like to get back to those times when you can get together and have just a good race. Yeah. That's whether it be one-on-one or a group, like the Cash Days deal, style racing. That kind of style racing is fun. Because a lot of us luck of the draw. Like you talk a bunch of shit to somebody and you go out and it's one and done. You got one shot.
Yeah.
Like with this, you can mess up and possibly come back around and go to the next round and figure out what you did wrong and get faster each time.
What do you like better? Do you like grudge or Cash Day style?
I mean, they both have their perks. But I've used to be into the more one and done deals, and like doing all these Cash Day style races. It's just fun because you get to socialize, you get to possibly have a second chance to figure out and go faster, and the pots are usually bigger.
Right. It's not like
you put $1,000 in the line for one race.
With the grudge stuff, it's hard to justify going out and street racing sometimes anymore because the cost of racing is so high and everything that you have to bet a lot of money, and a lot of times you don't have that money to lose in the first place.
Right.
So it's nice to enter for $200 and get a chance at $10,000.
Yep.
I just hate like
and let's be real. You can go up there, even if you go out, you get to watch and see how everybody else is doing, and we can all guess about where each other's at.
Yeah.
So I get to see where you're at. I get to see where you're at and all these other people, you know what I mean, to be able to go home and work on my program if I go out first round.
I feel like a lot of the shootout stuff is like an endurance race anymore. Like anything more than 20 some cars is like
on the
a
street.
chore on the street. Like it's a chore to fucking get done. Especially unless you got a good flagger and somebody that's running it like BJ or Limpy.
Spots.
But like if you got a fucking idiot running this deal,
I never have a shit show.
I don't have a good time. I really don't. And then
excuse me.
Anymore, if it's not like BJ or Limpy or Richard, I'm probably not gonna go.
Yeah. Right.
And
unless it's a one and done grudge that I've set up myself.
Like, just I feel like I've been to a lot of street shootouts that were unprepared or just
Or just straight 1-lane roads.
yeah, 1-lane roads. It just takes all fucking night. It's cold, like
Or it's crazy. It's either
stressful.
crazy cold or crazy hot.
It's just stressful. Like, I don't know. I a lot of my shootout experiences, my ratio of good to bad is pretty bad. But, yeah.
It is hard on my side to be able to afford the $5,000-$6,000 buy-ins and stuff like that. So a $200-$300 buy-in is a lot better to
For sure.
possibly win that bigger pot.
Yeah, that's true.
It's definitely made it better for the guys that don't want to bring along a crew of 20 people to bet some, to get a big pot up or something like that.
Right, or even
with
afford the
grudge.
entry.
Yeah.
You got $1,000 entry races. It takes a group in a lot of cases for the smaller guy to be able to even go race, and then you got to have these solid people behind you that actually believe in you and what's going on with the program. But yeah, we could probably
Racing's
go on
changed a
for
lot.
hours and hours
we
and
could.
hours.
Racing's changed a lot over the years. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's headed? Like in the next 5 years, where do you see no prep and street racing?
And the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really think so.
and that's coming from a broke guy's point of view. Like, I'm not going to be able to afford to do it, so
Yeah.
I will probably learn to not like it.
You don't think it'll adapt into a certain way that maybe you just have to kind of
Yeah, it's going to adapt. It's going to adapt into the $750,000 RVs pulling in with the $250,000 stackers.
It's happening this year.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
it's
know
happening.
A lot of people that are going to that.
It's happening.
How are these people
And I see
affording
it's
this shit?
happening. I keep my mouth shut because, like, there's nothing I'm going to do. Like, I can't do anything about it. But
It's evolution.
once the money come, and Sherman and I had talked about this a pretty good bit, that money ruins everything. Once these guys come over, once these guys with the money come over, and if it intrigues them, they will figure it out, and then that's gonna. I mean, it's going to take it to a level to where a lot of us guys are going to get kicked out of it. It's happening. I see it's happening. I'm able to, I guess, basically think about it and get used to it. I know it's going to happen, so it's not like it punched me dead in the face. But
Well, CJ, you just got to work harder.
I
You got to
see-
work harder.
I see a lot of people talking shit, like, come on over, we'll bust your ass, this, that, and the other. Like, it's gonna happen. They're gonna get beat. They know they're gonna come over and get beat, but if it intrigues them and they apply their connections, their wits, what they know, and their money, eventually they're gonna rule it until all of their kind come over. And then it's going to be a competitive field again, but I'm not going to be in it. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it. I also feel that there's a good bit of people that's saying, well, step your game up, get with the times, this, that, and
Right.
the other, that's never fucking raced anything. Like, how?
People saying work harder.
Yeah, work harder. How are you going to even have any validity to what you say? You might
Yeah.
promote some stuff. You might
Yeah.
do this, but you don't race. So
Right.
stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, that frustrates me a lot when people that don't even have cars, or people that have cars that aren't even the same league as what we have, want to say just work harder, or just
I promise
there
you.
that is a lot of it.
I promise you all, I work hard.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
I
a
can't
lot
work
of
any
it.
harder.
There's a lot of it, but at the same time, there's a money aspect.
Right. And I'm a realist. I see it for what it is. I can't afford it. I know it. So I'm giving it all I've got. Like I said, I will still keep the Raggedy Ann car going. Yeah, I'm just going to have to pick and choose
What races
where
you
it
go to.
goes. Like we put it in a lot of races that we shouldn't have this year. And I knew we shouldn't have, but we didn't know what the car was capable of, what it was going to do. And like we went to show the car to fans, to people that was traveling from other states, and get it out there and make the passes.
Yeah.
I never expected to really do good.
And win wheelie contests.
Didn't expect to do good there either. And we come home with a wheelie contest. So But the car did surprise me in a lot of cases. Like the Arm Drop Revival, I did not expect to do good because we had nothing on a surface like that.
Yeah.
I just went out with what I knew from the other car, and like I'm not afraid to drive it. Put something in it, and it did what it needed to do.
Well, I told you that day at that arm drop race, I was like, you're gonna be just fine here at this surface. Like I watched a video of your car testing at 220, and I seen you leave off the rubber like way ahead of the where they usually start, and I saw the car leave like wheels up and gravel was flying behind it, and I was like,
Bring it.
Nobody's messing with that. Like that's hard to
Nobody
mess
did.
with that 60 foot. Like you've got that 60 foot down on shit surfaces. I give it to you.
I went there and I was talking with Jason, which I work with him. He's in the stall next to me, and he's also on the crew and helps me. Him and his family, among a few others, Mike and Jerry. But I wanted one of those trophies. I didn't
Me
give two
too.
shits about the money.
The
The money didn't. It wasn't even on my mind. It was like I want one of those trophies, and it means a lot. Yeah, that trophy means a lot.
Yeah. For sure.
Like the one that I have. Okay, the two that I have, but one like it means more than a Wally. I don't care about a Wally. It'd be cool to get one, but it was nothing like.
All right, this is underground.
Yeah, it was nothing like going there and being able to come home with one of those. That was my sole purpose. That's what I wanted out of the race, and I didn't think it was like in my grasp. I never thought that I would come home with two, let alone one.
In my opinion, that event that Gina, she did such a good job.
Hopefully they do it again next year.
Yeah, and hopefully it's they're not gonna do two of those a year, right? So you get one a year, and that's gonna this is gonna be the banger.
Yeah, it's
I think
one or nothing.
I feel like, dude, like that event was such a good time, and nothing compared to it
well
the rest of
run.
the year.
Yep.
I mean, War in the Woods is always cool, but now you've got no offense, but like some of these events, you do it 3 or 4 times a year. It's not the same.
You get
like
tired.
That. Yeah.
Well, that event was very well thought out. Like
It wasn't just thrown together
Because it's
there
only
was a
one.
lot of people that are in it that got that together and
Yeah.
made it all work like it
Yeah.
did, and yeah, it was a great event.
like getting all those kids together for the big wheel races, the tributes at the beginning to the fallen service members and the fire,
A concert.
all that, the
Yeah.
concert, just everything, man. Like the stage, like it was like a damn fair next to the track.
You had a
all
good-
the food vendors.
you had a good amount of classes.
Yep.
good
that were spread
announcer.
There's a class for everybody, and there's plenty of cars. And believe it or not, a lot of times people say now the surface isn't the equalizer, but that when you get a surface that's that bad,
Yeah, it equal.
you didn't see no pro mods out there.
You didn't see my Nova doing nothing. That's
No.
for sure.
Yeah, that surface is an equalizer. I don't
Yeah.
care what that is, like parking lot. Yeah,
I still don't think I should have beat Jimmy. Like I feel like he should have probably beat me. I don't know what he did.
The big tire
Wrong,
car.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did on his side. I know he said he let off the button and it just didn't go anywhere. Like he didn't make any tune-up changes or anything. But
That's pretty impressive to beat a
I
big
don't.
tire car.
It,
like
Serious
that.
question.
it was out of my hands on how I won that. I don't know
So
how.
in the last 3 rounds or 4 or 5 passes that you made there, because you were running 2 classes, you made a lot of hits that weekend. But
Yeah.
was that surface getting any faster every round? Like, and maybe it was, but like it couldn't. Was it getting much faster? Like I felt like that
Not
surface
for
just,
me.
like, wasn't taking rubber.
No, it wasn't for me.
Yeah. So that's
I got a little more aggressive with Jimmy because I thought that was my last round anyway. Let's see if we can put more to it. And like I did go faster,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't because of the surface. It was just because I at that point had
we
the
were just making
balls to
adjustments.
had the balls to put a little more to
Yeah,
it.
if it knocks it off, whatever. I wasn't supposed to win anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, look, I
And
feel
it
like
didn't.
like Rockingham, dig or die, like that used to be bad. Like people were struggling to get out of the 7s there, and
Right.
right. But now it's a 570 track because it's just rubber over years and years, and I'm like, I don't think that's ever gonna happen there, and I don't think like that
Well,
car.
the other thing is it's water burnout
Yeah.
and the burnout box is so far from the starting line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nothing ever really accumulates.
Yeah. I don't think that like I that's gonna be one of the it's rare to have a place like that anymore.
Right.
And
It's
the
a good
lanes
place
seem
to
to
race,
be
for sure.
the same. I don't know, but
No.
no. I didn't make it very many rounds.
They're-
Wouldn't know.
the lanes aren't the same. Like
Really?
I made minute changes from lane to lane, and that's because I was like I got the bad lane, so that's what I started with. And whenever I would get the good lane, I think I would add 3% off the leave on the nitrous, and it was so low that it might hit, it might not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I tuned for the bad lane, and that's what I ran in the good lane too, essentially.
Yeah, but what I was saying is just like I wish more promoters would, instead of doing 36 events a year, focus on one or two that are just absolute bangers.
Yep. And stop trying to step on everybody. And, and
like
let's get everybody at this one. Let's get everybody at this one. Let's get everybody at this one.
Yeah.
And just plan it out.
do the
very well.
one
I'm
or
with you on
two
that.
fucking bangers.
Yep.
And like have cool ass trophies that people don't even care about winning your pot. They
Right.
want to win your fucking trophy.
That was more of a heart sentimental deal
Yeah.
on that trophy. That's,
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Like that was the only event this year that I was genuinely I wanted to win so bad. Like obviously I want to win every event I get into,
Right.
but like that one was really meant something, and it
Yep.
wasn't just another event, you know.
Right.
It was I wish we could get more stuff like that.
I mean, if you want to set one on your manual, I'll let you borrow one. You got to promise to take
well,
really
he's
good
got
care
one.
of it and
He's
bring
got
it
a
back.
couple.
I just had to throw that in there. Poke the bear.
I got one, and I don't even know how. I was racing Dad's car, and we never even made any passes on it.
Yeah,
That
but
thing
how
did
cool is
well.
that? It did.
Like it looked really
It's
good.
60 better than my Nova, and it's on a radial foot brigging.
Yeah. But how cool was that though? You got to race Dad's car
That
at
was
an
really
old
neat.
school kind of event like that, you
It
know?
was really neat.
Kind of
And
like
honestly,
kind of
we
like
were
a
so
surface
defeated
of the
because-
era of that
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
We were so defeated because we were like in the semis, and we knew it was like hurt really bad, and we didn't even think we'd be able to make it to the finals. Like, it was crazy how that actually came together.
This shit was meant to play out the way it was meant to play out, and that's
So
like
sometimes it seems
it's
that way.
out of. I feel like it was out of my hands how that played out. That was out of my hands. We worked our asses off. Don't kid yourself, but like I wasn't supposed to beat Jimmy in the big tire Camaro. Like there's no reason.
I wasn't supposed to be down to 4 cars at the last war in the woods.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but were you not supposed to be? Like you've got
Right.
a competitive car. It's
But 530s
You're a
there
driver,
ain't
though.
competitive, and that's
True.
about as fast as I was fucking going every pass.
I'm with you there then.
And then Jeff Thomas, he's going 570s and he's in the finals. So it's
Right.
like sometimes it's just you.
Luck of the draw. I believe
yeah,
it's
I
a
mean-
luck of the draw.
Sometimes it's just it's your night. Sometimes
I
sometimes
would-
it's definitely your not.
If
your
I
night.
said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I'd rather be lucky than good.
I've said it a lot.
Yeah, I'll take the luck over the skill any day.
There's people out there that are really skilled that have zero luck, like Nick. You know,
Right.
fucking. You'd think
Yeah.
he.
There's a lot going on in his mind. He's got a lot of knowledge there.
Yeah. But he can't catch a fucking break sometimes, you know? I told him before, I was like, dude, if I could give you an ounce of my luck, I fucking would, man. Damn. I felt terrible.
But from what I've noticed, and I don't talk shit about anybody. Nick's he's a bad dude. I think his mind goes so much though that when he gets an idea, he has to change it. So if he's got something that works or that's going to, it all gets changed up because he's got another idea. But that's also how he's gotten to where he's at.
Yeah.
You know, making those changes. And like
Yeah.
we talked about earlier, if you're not changing and trying, you're not going to go anywhere.
Alrighty. Well, I know like
Yeah.
a half hour ago I said we
Right.
were done, but then we kept going. But
That was my fault.
no,
That's all
I'm
good.
glad. I liked that last bit. That was some good stuff. Alrighty. Well, once again, thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here.
thanks for having me.
Yep.
Like I said,
I'm hungry. Let's get some food.
yeah, I'm starving, man. It's Billy's birthday. We gotta say him
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday
Happy birthday
to you.
to you.
That's about my singing skill right there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No shit. Yeah.
It's not quite as good as the happy birthday you got at Hooters.
I
though.
know.
Yeah, no shit. Damn.
But we need to get out somewhere Got me
Yeah.
flying like a owl and a couple of my here. Put this on your nose. Here, bite down on the bottom of that. Put it on your nose.
That was some wild shit. I'd never seen nothing like that at a Hooters before.
That was special.
It was.
Alrighty. Thank you again. We'll have to do this maybe again next year. We'll do
whenever.
the annual CJ podcast because, man, it's just a joy. It's a joy having you here. And
Eventually, we're gonna run out of shit to talk about, though.
no, God, no, never.
We can make stuff up though, because nobody
maybe.
will know.
we just
Do
made
you
up
really
everything we just talked
know
about.
if any of this was
all
made up
scripted.
or if it's real or not real? You just don't know.
100% scripted. All of it's scripted. Well, maybe on the next one I'll have you and my dad on. That should be.
Yeah, that
he was
should
going to
be
be
good.
on today, but I was like, I got to get some more camera stuff to make it work.
I thought he just didn't like me enough.
That's not true. See, all right. We're done. All right. Just got to get up and leave.